Welcome, Vital MTBers. We're here today to talk about some new model year 25 products from RockShox. They've got some updates to their fork and shock lineup, as well as some new shocks. I'm joined by Chris Mandell from SRAM, who helps make all the technical details make sense. Chris, thanks for taking the time to talk about the new stuff.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, and hello everyone out there in the world.
So there's been a lot of hype around the red forks we've been seeing on the front of all the athletes' bikes, but there's more than just a cool new colorway. You guys have a new damper update inside the Charger 3.1. Can you go over kind of just the overall goals with that and how you guys were able to achieve them inside?
Yeah, totally. I think that pointing at the athletes in that circumstance is really good, but also just knowing that everything we've done with this update to our fork line was based on rider feedback. We introduced Charger 3.0 a few years ago now, and we put it out there in the world. We're really proud of the work that we did. There was a ton of internal activity around that, and then we kind of put our listening ears on, and we spent a lot of time talking to athletes. We spent a lot of time talking to the riders that we engage with to understand how they were using the product and what was working for them and what wasn't working for them. And this Charger 3.1 update is really a result of that listening activity. So what we found was there were quite a few riders who were running the adjusters as they ship right in the middle, at what we would call 0-0 on low speed and high speed. And then, some riders who were running just a little bit more low speed or just a little more high speed. But we also did have a few riders who were running their high speed or their low speed all the way closed. And then we had other riders who were running their low and high speed all the way open. And what we kind of found with that was just the range of the adjusters needed to get more, just needed to be increased. And so a lot of the updates that we've done to Charger 3.1 have really been around that, increasing the range of adjustability so that more riders can find their window of happiness. That's primarily in how those compression adjusters work. However, we also found that there were riders who were running their rebound either all the way closed or all the way open. And for those riders, we have added into this update the ability to re-shim the rebound side of the Charger 3.1 damper, 3 and 3.1 damper, so that those riders who are at the extreme ends of the rebound can get closer to the middle of the adjustment range, where you're going to have tighter steps between the adjusters and just a rebound, higher level of rebound functionality. So I say those are the thing that's really important for us, listening to the rider feedback on it and having that drive down into the changes in the compression adjustment range and the tuning that you can offer on the rebound side. And then the other thing that we've done is we have also reduced the friction in the lower legs on Pike, Lyric, and Zeb. That's something you hear from us a lot. We're always working on that. The reason we do that is because it helps riders to have more traction, more control, especially in rough terrain, and all that results in more comfort and the ability to ride more.
I'm a big fan of the Charger 3 damper, so I think it's interesting to see the update, but it makes sense. I think I usually end up kind of middle of the road too. So it has the same number of clicks, but a wider range of adjustment. How did you guys manage to do that?
Yeah, so I think that is an important point to bring up. So 0-0 on Charger 3.0 and Charger 3.1 is going to produce the same amount of force. Now, you might go from a Charger 3.0 to a Charger 3.1 fork and find that you need to run different settings, either slightly different on air pressure or slightly different on compression. And that would be just based on the friction reductions that we've done. There's the friction reduction in the bushings that I already mentioned, but Charger 3.1 also has a lower friction seal head. So that might result in some adjustment changes if you go directly from one fork to the other. As you noted, you're a 0-0 rider. I'm mostly 0-0. I would say depending on terrain and fatigue levels, I change a little bit on that. So we wanted that to stay consistent as possible. We did do is we made those clicks, each one of those clicks have more change, so that you could get to a more open or a more closed. And we did that through some retuning of the head valve, and we did it through some physical changes to the structure. So that, as an example, the high speed compression adjuster on Charger 3.1 has a bigger head so that it can get more closed, produce more force when that head is closed all the way down. And then when it's more open, it can flow more oil. And that's really how we've been able to do that. So more flow and less flow, depending on where your adjuster's set.
When you make a change, it sounds like it's a bigger change more quickly. If you're looking to open it up, it's that one click will feel more like 2 or 3 on the previous damper.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like, it's all in service of trying to get riders into their window of happiness faster, and to get them to a better place.
There are also upgrade options available, it sounds like, to existing Charger 3 users.
Yeah, totally. So we have we know that there's a lot of riders out there right now who have Charger 3.0 who might be interested in having the Charger 3.1 experience, but we don't want those riders to feel like they have to go out and buy an entirely new fork. So we have a couple different options for allowing a rider with a Charger 3.0 or another RockShox fork to update their fork to Charger 3.1. So we have an aftermarket full damper that's available for Charger 3.1. And this would be a good option for a rider that has Charger 3.0 right now and is at the limits of their adjustment range, or a rider with a Select or Select Plus fork who wants to upgrade to the ultimate level damper. Another option that we're giving to riders who currently have Charger 3.0 is we are providing the head valve parts that will move a Charger 3.0 damper to become a Charger 3.1 damper. And it does require rebuilding the damper, but that's something that suspension techs can do, and it's pretty easy. This is a very easy damper to work on. What that allows the rider to have is their Charger 3.0 damper turn into a Charger 3.1 damper. And that would be a good option for riders who have Charger 3.0 right now, but are at the ends of their adjustment range. The other upgrade kit that we're making available is a shim kit for all of the different tunes that we're offering for Charger 3.0 and Charger 3.1. So this would be any of the tunes that I'm about to talk about. The one kit supplies all the shims for all of that. So at the top, we have a heavier compression tune. So for riders who are at the end of the adjustment range on the high speed side of things, they would be able to add more compression with this shim kit. And then for other riders who are at the ends of the adjustment range on the rebound side, we have a rebound shims for the mid valve that allow for a heavier rebound tune or for a lighter rebound tune. And I think these rebound tunes are the ones that we'll probably see the most people take advantage of. So if you're a rider who is on Charger 3.0, or even if as you start riding Charger 3.1, if you're a rider who ends up finding themselves with the rebound all the way closed down or close to all the way closed down, or a rider who finds the rebound all the way open or close to all the way open, these lighter rebound tunes, lighter and heavier rebound tunes would be a really good option for you. And I would say, like, especially to lighter riders who find themselves like at click 15, 16, 17, 18, all the way open on rebound, that lighter rebound tune is a really good option for getting you closer to the middle of the rebound adjustment range and just having overall better rebound performance.
Sounds like, yeah, it prevents oil from just kind of blowing past the shims. It kind of keeps it under control better. That covers everything going on with the fork. We can go into what's new with the shocks. Looks like the Super Deluxe got an update that kind of helps the oil flow a little better through it. Is that accurate with the update to that?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I would say the updates to Super Deluxe are going to be really similar to the updates that we talked about with Charger 3.1, where we wanted to increase the range of adjustability on those adjusters so you could get to a better place faster with the adjusters. And then with Super Deluxe, we're also updating the air spring so that we have an air spring. We learned a lot of lessons with the Vivid air spring, and we're bringing that into Super Deluxe with the XL linear air can. And then we did change the main piston on the Super Deluxe as well. And that kind of helped us with a lot of that, like a little bit less damping force and increasing the range of adjustability.
Cool. And that seems like it's all targeted at the same sort of reducing friction and increasing the sensitivity of the shock, just kind of looking for more traction overall.
Yep, traction, and I think control too, especially, you know, traction on the higher frequency, like lower displacement type of hits, like when you're riding an off camera corner, and then control on like the rough stuff.
And then I guess taking it a step further with traction, you guys have an all new shock, the Vivid Coil. That's pretty cool to see. Looks just like a Super Deluxe coil, but internally it's different. You talk about what the differences are internally with it?
Yeah. So, you know, as you look at the shock on the outside, like it could seem like we just changed the name of the product. And why did we just change the name of the product? But that we did way more than that. So, you know, with Vivid, Vivid is a air spring, but if you sort of take the air can off of it, you're really looking at a coil shock. Like that's how the architecture of the Vivid Air is laid out. And what we've done as we've developed this new Vivid Coil shock is we've taken the damper that we developed for Vivid out of the Vivid Air shock, and we've put it into this Vivid Coil. So effectively, you now have the option of running Vivid Air and having an air spring, or Vivid Coil and having a coil spring. Functionally, the dampers inside of those shocks are exactly the same. So the touchdown damper system that we developed for Vivid Air and introduced last year is the exact same damper system that we're using inside of the Vivid Coil. So it has that initial really light, easy breakaway feel because we've reduced the amount of damping that's happening in the first 20% of the travel. And then in the middle portion of the travel, you have very traditional velocity sensitive damping. And then at the end of the stroke, you have hydraulic bottom out control for the last 20%. And that is adjustable. And what it does is position sensitive, but velocity sensitive end of stroke control. So you can adjust how sensitive your shock is going to be to a hard bottom out or any kind of bottom out event. And it's only going to impact on compression, and then on rebound, you'll have normal function. So you can get quick recovery there.
So being position sensitive, bottom out control lets you, like, at the last 20% decide how much you want to slow down velocity, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah. So what's nice about that being position and velocity sensitive is, let's say you're having a bottom out event and but you're coming into that bottom out event pretty slowly. The hydraulic bottom out isn't going to have a huge impact on that because you're just basically not moving enough oil to move that through. But let's say you do have a bottom out event that's like very, very violent and like driving you towards the end of the stroke really quickly. In that situation, the hydraulic bottom out is going to generate a ton of force and resist that bottom out in such a way that you won't have a hard clack bottom out. And that balance of being able to like create a lot of damping when the shaft's moving really quickly to prevent a harsh bottom out, but when the shaft's moving slowly, allow you to move through the full travel, is really a huge rider benefit for, you know, keeping your ankles in one piece.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious with, like, from a Super Deluxe coil to this same spring rate, is it like notably softer with that touchdown technology to where you would maybe want to go up?
Yeah, so I have a little bit more experience with Vivid Air in this situation where we have seen people going up in air spring because they can kind of find a better balance between the initial small bump feel and the mid stroke support. On the Vivid Coil, I have like a little bit less experience, but what I have seen so far is people very slightly moving up in spring rate. So one of the other things we're introducing with this is we have 25-pound spring rate increases, and that is one place where I have seen people like edging up a little bit, but that hasn't been uniform. A lot of people are still sticking with, you know, on coil shocks, it's usually like 28% sag and 28 to 30% sag. So yeah, because you're still wanting to have that good, solid hold up in mid stroke. So you wouldn't want to go too soft, and then you wouldn't want to go too firm, because one of the things that is nice about coils, especially if you're riding in steeper terrain, is it is a little bit easier to get that bike to like sit in steeper terrain, and kind of like make you feel like you're at home and safe in the bike in steep terrain.
Definitely. Yeah, it's cool to hear the 25-pound increments. I think that'd be super useful for something like this. Yeah, I mean that pretty much covers what's new around suspension.
You know, one other thing I will mention, so Lyric and Zeb get the new Charger 3.1 damper. Pike also gets the Charger 3.1 damper. We are making one other change to Pike. So Pike is the only one that gets an updated air spring. When we introduced this new version, or the current version of Pike a few years ago, we did make we were looking at the lay of the land on trail bikes, and they were all kind of oriented a little more towards the sporty side of things. And so we built the Pike air spring in line with that. And what we found in the ensuing years is that riders were really building those Pike bikes to feel just like a Lyric bike would feel. And so we actually have updated the air spring in the Pike as well, so that its air spring performance in terms of like the initial feel and the small bump performance is more in line with the Lyric and Zeb air spring. So that's another thing that we've done, is that Pike only also gets an air spring update. And again, it's just getting that Pike off the top feeling like the Lyric does, so that riders are able to have really good traction on the initial point on those little trail bikes.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I look at that fork anyways. And you're building something super light. It seems like the SID could even handle a lot of that stuff now.
Yep.
Yeah, cool to see that consistency across the whole lineup. Can you get every fork in red, or is it just the Zeb?
Just the Zeb.
Got it. All right. I'm sure people want to know. We've seen them floating around in a lot of different variations.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, there's all the details on the new red forks and what's going on with those red springs on people's bikes. Yeah. Thanks again for taking the time to run through it. Look forward to trying it out.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks so much for the time today. And I hope everyone out there will have a good time on it.